You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
İşaretlendi Ricardo Quaresma! Ricardo Quaresma! Ricardo Quaresma! Yine top Quaresma ortayı yaptı! Sekti! Gol! Gol! Gol! Gol! Gol! Gol! Maç boyunca durdu, şimdi attı! Abu Bakar attı! Abu Bakar! Abu Bakar! Abu Bakar!
Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. This is the first time in the Europa League group stages, or league stages rather, that Beşiktaş have gotten all 3 points. It was long overdue. It's not the first time in history, of course, but in the league stages of the Europa League, Beşiktaş finally have their first points, and it's a 3-pointer straight away. We got the win away at Lyon last night. I don't think that was a result many of us were expecting or even daring to hope for. We were speculating about it earlier in the week that we'd even, we'd take a loss in Lyon as long as we don't, if we get a good result in the derby on Monday. But this is a great start to this series of 2 very difficult matches for us, where with 3 points, there isn't a better general repetition. I talked about a reference match last week. It's so important to get those types of games in the bag so that your players can build confidence. My name is Kaan Bayazit. As always, I am joined by my co-host Kartal Oer from Scotland, and of course Sinan Schwarting from New York City, USA, where we have a big election coming up in a couple of days, but we're here to talk football, of course. Kartal, how's the spicy chicken, my friends? How are you handling it?
Yeah, good man, good. Also very happy after last night, man.
Was it a celebratory meal for you?
No, it was just a quick meal before I jumped on the podcast. To be honest, I didn't even have anything with it. Just put chicken in the air fryer, put some Nando's sauce on it, air fried it for 20 minutes and ate it, so I'd be on here on time.
Nando's sauce. Okay.
You can buy that from the supermarket here. I don't know if it's available.
No. I know Nando's though. I like that. When I've been to London and stuff, I've had Nando's. It's some good chicken, some tasty chicken.
Believe it or not, you can actually get Nando's sauce in Turkey. So I'm surprised they don't have it in Belgium, because they do sell it in Turkey, even though there's no actual Nando's restaurants.
Okay, I didn't know that. Well, I'll maybe have to look out for it. Although, I like spicy food, but Kim had an operation like 8 years ago or something on her sinuses, I think, and ever since that, she can't handle spicy food anymore. She used to love like jalapenos and stuff like that, and now she can't have it anymore, so it's really unfortunate. Okay. Sinan, are you back in position, my friend? I guess not. No Sinan yet. I think he had some emergency, maybe he spilled something and he had to clean it up. A very interesting stat, I don't know if you saw this, Kartal, but it's the first time since the 18th of October 2016 that Lyon have lost a home game in any group competition, or league competition in this case, but any group stage competition in the UEFA competition, so Europa League, Champions League, Conference League. So it's a pretty big feat. The last time they lost was 2,923 days ago, and it was against Juventus. So This is the first time Lyon lose at home. It's not something that happens often. I think that only emphasizes that this is a very big win for Beşiktaş and for any Turkish club. Obviously we talked about it off air. And I asked, when's the last time a Turkish club had a big result like this in an away game? And you said Galatasaray last season in Manchester.
They said it, but it was someone else in the group. But that was a big win as well. But Man U weren't on great form in that time, so it's questionable.
And still aren't. Worth mentioning. I mean, I think, when you get a result against Manchester United like that, obviously Manchester United...
Yeah! There we go.
Obviously, Manchester United are like, it's a big name. It's one of the biggest names in world football. So, in that sense, it's a big historic result. But you also have to look at it in the context. Man United last season, Man United this season, Man United under Ten Hag, it's not necessarily a big achievement to... I still think it's a big result to win there, but I don't know, man. Like, winning away against Lyon, an informed Lyon side, I think we all looked at this game when we were doing our predictions. You and I, Kata, we were both really, how should I put it? We were
Bullish.
No. I think we were. That's not the word I'm looking for. I think we were very hopeful. I think we were very optimistic, very kind. I think we gave a good prediction, of course, coming off of that great start to the season we had. And we predicted good results against Ajax and Frankfurt. But I think one thing that all of us had in common, and Sinan, you were the only one who was a little bit more refrained. You were a little bit more disciplined in your predictions, I think, a little less optimistic perhaps. I think we all, I'm not sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we all had the Lyon game as a loss. The Lyon away game.
I think you're right.
I think I might have changed it to the 3 points, because remember there was one of them I changed because Lyon didn't have a great start to the season.
I think you might have changed Ajax or something. I don't think you changed Lyon. We'll have to look that back. Roll that tape!
Yeah. If only Yasin had production. We need Yasin on production.
It might have been that one because they didn't have a good start to the season. I think that might have made me change that. But then obviously before this game, maybe results wise we weren't so bad, but kind of form in terms of football dropped, and then they've won the last 5 games. They absolutely destroyed the Rangers 4-1 in Ibrox, man. At that point we were all thinking, no, this is going to be a really hard game. We'll do well not to get a doon. A doon means like getting battered, basically getting smashed, and that's a Scottish word. But then obviously we got the 3 points and it was absolutely fantastic. And the funny thing about this game was, see at the start of the game, I was watching it so relaxed because I had no expectation. But then as they kept missing chances, as Yasin made the saves, and then after 30 or so minutes, we saw that we could hurt them, and Rafa had that half chance. You start thinking, it's going away. Are we going to do something here? Yeah. Are we going to have an upset? And then more and more, I start getting more nervous gradually, because that no expectation starts turning into being having high expectation.
It goes from, for me at least. I mean, I had a very similar thought process as you did, Kata. I went into this game, in our community. I think earlier in the day, Ömer or Atil, I'm not sure who it was, but said, hey guys, it's match day, is nobody excited? And I said, well, you know what, I'm actually really excited, but I don't have high expectations. But I was really looking forward to the match. But, like you, I didn't really expect anything from this game. If anything, I probably expected us to probably lose, honestly. And I was just going into the match, watching it and thinking, I hope we don't concede an early goal, And as that gradually, they had a 30-minute whirlwind, I want to say. They were crazy. It was 30 minutes, very high intensity. We couldn't get the ball away. Every time we'd win the ball, we'd kick it up the field and they'd win it back straight away and they'd come back at us. I feel like every time they recovered the ball within 2 seconds or something, and we just couldn't get a breather. Other than, of course, the first actual play of the match was us attacking and Ndour having a shot at goal. I think Gedson blocked it or something.
Yeah, that's right. And it was offside.
There's another attack as well where Mucci had the ball on the left, and I was just thinking, if that was Rafa.
That was that one, I think, because that's Mucci plays it into Ndour in the center, and then Ndour fires a shot at goal. And I think later in this first half, Ndour had another shot from the left-hand side. But it was...
I've not refreshed as much as you guys. I've had a very, very busy day, so I've not actually had a chance to go back and watch the highlights. But it probably was that same possession,
I didn't even make the highlight reel, actually, but I recall that one.
I sent you guys a link, and that has, I think, all the highlights for Beşiktaş in it. But you probably didn't see it. But I actually have that propped up and ready for a Patreon after show, but we'll see if we'll have time for that, because
a very busy day dealing with furniture companies, man, like having to complain as well as working at the same time.
Yeah, you don't have to justify it, bro. Completely understand you have work. But I had the same.
Hey, let me say something real quick,
yeah, go
guys.
ahead, Sinan. What's up?
First of all, hi, hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Someone came with a package for the right apartment number, but the wrong building, and I live in this complex, so I was like having to explain. So anyway, I'm here. Don't worry, folks. But yeah, I thought that I should share my sort of feelings that were live from last night, as just to, I think, really sum up how I felt. But I said in the sort of podcast group chat that I, quote, expected to be consoling myself tonight, convincing myself that things could still be okay. And I had convinced myself, like, oh, it's not going to be that bad if we lose, all that stuff. And I said, now I don't even know what to do. Because you guys were all sleeping in Europe, and I was just still buzzing,
Yeah.
And then I said, I guess it's cocktail hour. That was how I concluded that.
Good thing we got a couple of gringos in the group as well, man. Like you could at least, but yeah, I can understand that. Like it took a while for me to fall asleep, I think, but that's the high of a match. But did you have the same feelings as Kartal did though, Sinan, where I mean I definitely grew into the game in a very similar way as he did, where I thought, I didn't have any expectations, and then 20 minutes go by, then 24 minutes their goal gets disallowed, then a minute later they have that penalty that gets reverted then to a free kick outside the box, and then you start thinking 30 minutes, finally the storm is kind of relenting, and we start prodding at them a little bit. We start having our first little excursions in their half, and we start threatening a little bit. No big chances, but there were like some early warning signs. I think there was that position with João Mario on the right where he plays it into Rafa, and Rafa skies it, but it was actually not a bad chance. And you just feel like we're kind of growing into the game. And, that's not abnormal, of course, for football, where if you're in an away game, especially in Europe, like you expect the home side to come out of the gates, rushing at you, trying to press you and score an early goal. That's not abnormal. And there's always momentum swings in the match. I think the momentum swings in this match were, especially in the first half, were still relatively limited, but you could certainly notice that after 30 minutes, they had spent a lot of their energy trying to find that goal, and they didn't. And then you start thinking, or at least I do, okay, we have a point right now, which wouldn't be bad. We need to just hold on to this. We need to make halftime. Yeah. And then you get to halftime, still 0-0. And then you're thinking, I hope we come out the dressing room looking okay. And we actually did, I thought. I thought we looked a lot better coming out of the dressing room.
Second half was this was one of those instances where I really wish we got a recording of the halftime speech, because
you said that.
Something like they came out and literally like we had our first 2 shots on goal in the first I think 5 minutes of the half, maybe even like 2 or 3 minutes of it, right? It was almost immediate, the reaction.
Yeah, I think in like the 49th minute or something, João Mario had a good shot that the goalkeeper saved.
Yeah.
And
we've got a cameo here, folks.
Yeah, is that your dad?
Sorry?
Or is that Özcan? Oh, it's Özcan.
Hey!
See, this is the proof that there's actually 2 of them.
But, they're in the same spot at the same time.
But come the summer, you will be able to distinguish them easily because one of them won't have eyebrows.
So eyebrows. We don't know if an offer actually came in, so. Were you excited last night after the win, man? Well, I know you were. I was beside you. You were at my house watching the game.
I was. It was a great win. Obviously, a historic win. It's been quite a while since we've had a big win like that in Europe. Yeah, we were a bit lucky, but you need luck in games like that, especially. Yeah. Obviously, Can put that post in earlier. They hadn't lost in a European group / league phase in 8 years at home. So
yeah, 2016.
Yeah, and there was actually I wanted to link that to something. Like, I'm pretty sure we were the first team to beat Napoli in the Champions League group stages as well.
That's right.
In 2016.
There you go.
Where the details, well, No, I mean, a part of it was actually like brilliant goalkeeping from like Fabry and stuff like that, and just last night as well. Obviously, some brilliant defensive performances and goalkeeping performances. Like that was another game where we probably actually got outplayed for the most part. But the details went our way, and the other players excelled in the right moments, and maybe like they lacked in finishing because like Napoli were the better team than us that day as well. But we were able to overcome that and get the win. And today, like last night was very similar. So it's quite telling how both of them were streak enders. I think that it's quite a nice way to tie them both together, I think.
Yeah, definitely agree. Although I would argue that Napoli, I mean, obviously they hadn't played that much European football because they were in like Serie B and Serie C for a while. And I think they got back into it like in the 2010s maybe, or like late 2000s perhaps. But yeah, for sure, man, that's a good point. And I mean, back then I do feel like we had a little bit more eccentric quality where we just had, you know, Quaresma, we had Adriano, we had Abubakar, we had Talisca, we had a lot of players that could score goals. Yesterday, it did feel like, okay, if Lyon score first, it's probably going to be a tough one. Although, you know, probably in Napoli as well, if they had scored first, it would have been tough. And we scored first, they equalized, and we scored again, they equalized. And then, of course, at the end, we scored with not a lot of time left on the clock, so they couldn't strike back, which was good. I also remember thinking to myself, watching Dries Mertens in that game, like, you shitty little diver. Do you remember that? How he was flopping around in that match? Oh my god, it was doing my head in.
Yeah, because they got 2 penalties, and I'm sure at least one of them is bullshit.
Yeah, they got 2. But
Fabry saved one of them, and then Gabi Adenis scored the other.
Fabry saved the first one, I think, and then they got they got another one, and it just felt like compensation almost. Like the ref was really. You know, if only there was VAR back then, because we have to mention that VAR definitely came to our rescue a couple of times yesterday. First with the goal, which was a correct decision, it was offside, can't argue that. And then also the penalty, and you know, I was watching the replay, and I was just watching it, and like, I don't get why they... I get why they didn't give the penalty, because I don't know what you guys thought when you saw it live, but I thought, I don't know if it was Felix or Emirhan, but it seemed like a clean challenge on the ball. So I was like, that's not a penalty, so they're going to overturn it because of that. But then they did overturn it, but they actually gave a free kick, and I just couldn't figure out what happened. Did something happen off the ball or something like that? But then Sinan pointed it out just before we went live that Emirhan kind of clips him just before he goes into the box. And I guess
from behind a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, it's the question, and where I think it's sort of a soft call, is that like they're both theoretically playing their position correctly, and like it's Lacazette's foot that sort of swings back, but then I guess on the other hand, that's the natural position since he's taking a shot. So you know, I don't know. I guess it's not like a crime that it was called. We could say there was something there.
Felt harsh to give a yellow for it though, because
definitely. Oh man, yeah, that's crazy. That's actually wild.
Yeah. Did he go to the screen?
So,
I don't even remember. He did, I think, right?
I think so. I mean, there was a long pause, but I don't remember seeing him like running back.
Yeah, no, I think he went to the screen. Yeah, he went to the screen for that one. He didn't go to the screen for the first one. By the way, Katel, if you deactivate your background, Özcan can just sit down next to you.
He's going to go soon, man. It was just a quick cameo.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was good to see.
When we getting to see Oor number 3?
Oh yeah, the senior.
Yeah.
He's coming to pick him up, man. So who knows? There might be a surprise later on, but I doubt it. He's tired. I think he just wants to. He'll just take Özcan up the road, because at first he wasn't even going to come and get him. He was telling him to get a taxi home. So he's probably quite tired.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, it was good to see him. Good to see him nonetheless. Con, I never actually answered your question though. By the way, you asked if I agreed with your guys' feelings about the, you know, sort of psychological torment, I guess, that this game was for a while.
That's what it felt like. You know what? I think it's cruel because did you also have that idea in the back of your head, like as more the match progressed, and as we started getting towards like the 70th minute, which is ironically just before we scored, where it's like, oh my god, it's like 70 minutes. These bastards are gonna
they're gonna
like
exactly,
score in like the 83rd minute or the 86th minute or something, aren't they? Like, because it feels like, oh, we've got something, we got a point, and then I that's what my head was kind of in, man. Like, oh man, like
for sure.
Like,
I felt the longer the game went on, I thought maybe we sneak something out of this.
Well, so here's like, for me, this was a game that shows the importance of psychology, not only obviously on our end as fans, but even I think for the players on the pitch. And so what I mean is, I guess let me answer your question first. Yes, I first I was just like clenching my butthole, for about 50 minutes, 55 minutes, where it was just like chance after chance, and Ersin made like 2 really solid saves, and then a bunch of just solid, control in the box, getting up, aerial possession, not letting them do anything sneaky. But then, like as you get past that phase and we start to, they start to tire out, right? Because their high press was very effective. But that like eventually they're going to tire out. Like, it's not like they're all like academy players, right? You have a lot of veterans on that team too. So you're thinking, okay, and you start to see us holding the ball a little bit. That's where we're more familiar, where we're more comfortable. So you're thinking, okay, like maybe we can get something. And then, like you said, Khan, like there's a point where we're starting to play well enough. We've actually created a few chances, and then they get like 1 or 2, and it's like, oh my god, like this is what they do. They've built our hope just enough so that they're gonna shiv us in the back. Like that's where this goes.
Milan mid 2000s, like AC Milan mid 2000s was exactly like that. Like they'd give the opponents like hope, and then they'd just mercilessly strike.
Did you guys see Sally's comment?
It's brilliant.
I'm glad. I hope everyone's not watching. That's such a deep cut. I don't even think we can address that on air. But that's Sally. I hear you. I see you. That's fucking hilarious. Dude. Yeah. So anyway, like we finally Kaya and my wife Masha came home right around that moment, and so they saw me celebrating the goal, and then they saw the whole thing shift around. Then it's me. I'm like, Kaya, you're good luck. You have to stay here and watch. And I'm just like hugging her for 20 minutes, like holding, and then we actually had a really fun time. Kaya was like analyzing the defense and trying to figure out how she can play in her games. It was a really nice last 20 minutes despite the stress. But anyway, back to my other point about the psychological component for players. I think early on it was like, here we are again in Europe. We're kind of outclassed. They're going to crush us. And then like eventually, first of all, it's worth noting, we didn't play out a wussy starting 11. There was not, 3 6s or any of that stuff, which was a great, for anyone looking to make sure that Giovanni has learned from his mistakes. That's one point that I think a lot of people should take note of. And then,
would you have minded that he played? I'll pull up the lineup while we talk. But would you have minded if he had played Musrati in there instead of Joao Mario, for example? Like, would you have? I
wouldn't have. That's the thing, is that this was one of those days where it's like, screw it, like play Onana. Like I don't even care. I really
no. Let's not go that far.
I'm exaggerating. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, I thought we were toast. Like if we had like a Demudek Tigna still, someone, if we had someone who we wanted to see develop, I wouldn't have minded that. But anyway.
No, but I mean, still, I think Ndour, Gedson, and Musrati is a solid enough midfield with still ability to go forward. Obviously, Joao Mario has more attacking impulses than maybe Ndour and Musrati, but I mean, when Musrati did come on later in the game, he did play Rafa through on goal with a brilliant pass.
Well, and we saw at the end of Konya where he brought Al Musrati on to kill it, and it was Cher, Al Musrati, and Gedson. So I almost felt like he was prepping them for this match, in my mind anyway. I thought. Mm. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see him come out and play Rafa at the 10 and all that.
Can I just? I was away to the toilet for a second, guys, but. See that graphic, can you bring that back up? There's just something.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, see, when I was watching the game, I don't feel like this was the setup. I felt quite often Rafa was out wide in Mario.
Yeah, he switched in.
Yeah.
But in part,
that way as well.
in part, Cartal, I think that's because Rafa Silva was like, João Mario had that instinct to come centrally, and I think Rafa Silva was kind of very wisely kind of covering for him and making sure that we had someone out wide, because, I mean, obviously that's ended up being how we started creating chances and everything too. But anyway, but just to finish up my point real quick, for us to play like that was promising, and then what I noticed happening throughout the course of the first half was especially our defense, remembering, like, we're like European side, and we can do this. And like, especially King Felix Uduokhai of the Uduokhai. My man was freaking just all over the place, like getting hyped and gesticulating, and like he was just like this was like a "you shall not pass" kind of thing for him.
Yeah,
and then you could see, and you could
see Lyon fans and went like that to them.
Yeah, he was gesturing at them. He was hyped, and then you could see Emirhan Topçu kind of building into the match as well, and kind of like, I think that kind of personality of Felix in this match probably motivated everyone around him and inspired. And you can see Emir kind of be like, all right, let's do this. Like, we've got this. And you can see them just like chance after chance, like flinging their bodies in, going all out. You saw Jonas Svensson, who started out really poorly. Sherky was running circles around him. He starts playing well. Masuaku starts playing well. He starts bringing the ball up and connecting with the midfield, which he does when he's in his, having a good day typically. And so suddenly you saw our defenders kind of wake up. You saw Cher and Doer putting pressure on the back of their midfield, making sure they're not getting any free chances, any long shots from the outside of the penalty box or anything like that. You really started to see the defense realize we can do this. Like, we're going to be under a lot of pressure, but their confidence was rising. And then, I think whatever happened at the half, you kind of saw the rest of the team wake up too, coming out of the gate, and just everyone started to. It was like, let's create some chances. Let's take this to them. Let's see what we can do. It's still 0-0, and it was almost like the light switch was flipped on, and it felt like all of the terrible kind of sentiment and morale that they'd been bringing into all of our European games for, 3 years. It was like they just kind of put that in the trash, and they're like, wait a minute, like, we're here. It's 0-0. We're playing against a really good side in good form. We're holding our own. Let's take it to them, and they did, and then just as they had one chance, then it was two, and then by the end of the game, we were probably the better side. I mean, obviously not when you look at the whole match in the first 50-60 minutes. I mean, let's not say they didn't like deserve a win or anything like that. I don't even want to play that game. But by the end of the match, I just mean when you look at how the two teams were playing for those last 20 minutes. We were really bringing it to them. There was no sense that they were this dominant side that like was destined to beat us or anything of that sort. So, seeing us grow into this match from a psychological perspective, for me personally, again, knock on wood, right? But you feel like that's the kind of momentum, that's the kind of like sentiment that they can carry through. I don't know. I mean, we have Galatasaray soon, so hopefully at least into this next match. But I don't know, man. This could be the beginning of something nice if they can just remember what they were tapping into there.
Yeah, this could be. It's almost weird to say that this could be the turning point in our season, because really we have had a good start to the season.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
we had a very good start in the league. We had good European qualifiers. Okay, we had a very bad game against Ajax, but then like yesterday, in our group chats as well, like some people were saying, I can't believe we're shit again. And it's like, I was just thinking, like, we weren't shit against Frankfurt. Like, we weren't great or anything like that, but it's not like we were shit. Like against Ajax was by far our worst game of the season so far. And then Antep away was also one of our worst. I think those two are bad games this season. But
two bad games.
Yeah, we've had two bad games, and one you could chalk up to fatigue perhaps. And yeah, of course, yesterday I think first half nobody would have raised an eyebrow if Lyon was up 2-0. Or 3-0, maybe. I think we have to thank Ben Rama, for example. Like, he wasn't very sharp. But
he was wide a few times. He hit that. Remember that shot he hit off the post? God, that was like.
Was that him in the second half? Was that Ben Rama? I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
I think that was Ben Rama.
Was Ben?
Yeah, but
I think.
go ahead, sir.
I thought he looked good, for example, but it was just a finishing that let him
He
down.
was good.
Yeah,
he was.
I think they all very good. Like, see, let me see. I'm just looking at the team here. Like, I really like see that guy Cherokee.
Yeah.
Man, Cherokee's gonna be a star. That guy's terrifying.
He's one of the best players I've seen play against us in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He had like
terrifying.
Quaresma in Porto.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, like, he's so good with both feet. He can pass. He can beat a man.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, he looks a bit fat as well, but the guy's brilliant. You know, like he's got that look about him that he doesn't really look like a football player, but the guy's brilliant, man. Also, I like Ben Rama as well, and
That was good.
I also thought that Tessman, the American boy, Sinan, I thought he was good as well.
He had that nice shot on that Ersin was.
And then
a rock.
also, the kid Fofana was good when he came on as well. Again, his shooting was bad, but he had Svensson. Like, he had Svensson looking like a fool at times.
Yeah.
See, one thing, but I'll say to Svensson's credit, he gets bunned on the dribble too much in these European games. But see, yesterday, he made a lot of very good recoveries where he'd get beat initially, but he'd always make his way back into the play.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, he's got the heart of a lion. Yeah, that's the wrong. We need a better animal, but you know what I mean.
Eagle.
The heart of
The heart of an eagle. I mean, but you know,
like,
you know what I'm
Svensson,
saying.
I think he has kind of been found out in these European games. He looks great in the league, but in the European games he's been found out a bit. But I think that as I was just saying, that we need to give him credit for how good he's actually been at making those recoveries. And when he's beaten, he's making his way back into the plays, and maybe not winning a tackle, but blocking the cross or intercepting the cross. He's winning the down. Eventually, he is getting that ball back, which is important. Obviously, you're not always going to get that chance, so it's important not to let the guy pass you the first time. But also, you need to give credit to that heart to get back into that play.
Yeah, we also need to keep in mind, like, guys like Ryan Cherki are seen like one of the biggest talents to come out of the Lyon academy since Karim Benzema. And I mean, credit to Lyon as a club. Like, how much talent comes through there, it's ridiculous. Like, one of the best wingers we've had, Rachid Ghazal, came out of their academy as well. And they just have so much talent. Like this Ben Rama, his shot wasn't maybe his aim was off a little bit, but he was still extremely slippery. It was almost impossible to get the ball off of him. Same thing with Cherki. And they had a lot of players like that who were just really, really good and really difficult to contain. And they were a very talented side. And yesterday, I think if we play that game 10 times, it probably doesn't end 1-0 in our favor very often. But sometimes you need, like you said, I think like Özcan said, sometimes you need a bit of luck on your side. You need to weather the storm. And weathering the storm in European away games or in derby games or in just tough away games in general, you need a little bit of luck. Maybe there's a post, a couple of really good saves by the goalkeeper, a good block, just some heroics. You know, those defenders or goalkeepers, they're on the pitch for a reason as well. Like they have to put in good shifts and they have to put in those performances as well. And I think one of you said it already, but Uduokhai was immense yesterday. Ersin was amazing, which is great, I think, for Ersin going into the Galatasaray game on Monday as well. Also, we cannot forget Ersin coming is still injured and played through an injury yesterday and probably played one of his best games in the Beşiktaş shirt yesterday. Yeah. And hopefully that'll silence those idiots, the haters, those idiots that dared boo him against Frankfurt. I really hope that...
I think Ersin's owed an apology.
Yeah.
By, maybe not the majority of the fan base, but what I like to call the loud minority. And I think there's also some people in Beşiktaş media as well. I don't want to name names, but they referred to, like, for example, I'm going to name names.
Name names, yeah.
Do it, yeah, why not?
Bülent Uslu on his live stream said he doesn't even think Ersin's a Super League level keeper, never mind Beşiktaş level keeper. And It annoyed me yesterday because I was watching his stream and he was trying to like niggle his way out of apologising to Ersin. He was saying basically criticised him, which I don't think that's a very good criticism. That's not a criticism. That's just being hating, to be honest.
What did he criticise? What was there to criticise?
Criticising is when you say something that makes someone better, but that's just straight out being a hater saying that. Like that's not a criticism. Is giving someone a piece of advice so they can work on it.
Yeah, exactly. Constructive criticism helps to make people better. Telling somebody,
but saying you're not a Super League goalkeeper.
Yeah, there's nothing constructive
that's
about
hate,
that.
Yeah.
That's just
because like, and a lot of people called him out of it and say, "Look, you owe him an apology." They just say, "Oh, look, we criticised him when he was better." And even at one point, he was saying like there wasn't that many good saves. Most of the balls came straight to him, and even like the boys on the has on with him on the show, they were saying, "Oh, Abbey did make some good saves." And then he was like, "You think so?" and stuff like that. And even they, like, you could tell though maybe a wee bit reluctant to say, "Oh, you're wrong here," but they were saying to him, "Yeah, he did make some good saves." But I think he is owed an apology by certain sections of the media. And I think Benito Slow actually does. I'm a fan of Benito Slow. I watch his streams every day. I think he's a force for good for the most part. But I think sometimes he gets he's too passionate and too angry sometimes, and he misses that dose of where he should be. He gets too angry and he takes it too far. I think that was one of these instances. I think yesterday he should have accepted that, and he should have held his hands up and said, "Look, I'm sorry."
I think if you want the best for Beşiktaş, I think you can have certain opinions in private, but you cannot kill a player in public. Yeah. I have certain thoughts about certain players right now where I'm really. But I'm not gonna say that online. I'm not gonna say that on here because we don't have we don't have anywhere near the audience that Bülent Abi has. But
yet you're still trying to be responsible.
But yeah, I don't think you can do that. If you do that, you damage the club because what's the chances of a scout from West Ham or something watching Bülent Özlü's stream? It's negligible, right? Because it's in Turkish. But a lot of people watch those streams, and they might, people have the tendency to copy paste opinions, and
Khan, the butterfly effect, right?
Exactly.
Like the flap of your wings turns into a tornado somewhere else type thing. You just never know.
The drop in a pond of water wrinkles out. Exactly. So you never know what the type of impact those things can have. So I think you need to be really careful about killing players like that. Like. You can criticize them, that's fine, that's fair. Players need to be criticized, coaches need to be criticized, like the board needs to be criticized. If mistakes are made, if wrong decisions are made, you need to criticize it because people need to be held accountable. Players also need to an extent be held accountable. But I'm not gonna say I've never killed a player. Like I've definitely gone to town on a guy like Onur. But like what is the you're not really damaging anything there, in my opinion. I mean, there's a difference between booing a guy in the stadium. I would never boo him in the stadium or anything like that. But I'm gonna say, I think he is not good enough to play for Beşiktaş. I think
it's not like he didn't prove otherwise yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's
that was like one of the lowlights.
But Ersin is an academy product. He's a goalkeeper that won a title with the club.
That's the
when
key
he was
point.
19 years old, and I think one of the things. Yesterday, what Bülent pointed out, I said this yesterday too, I think, or this morning, I said, it's not, Ersin didn't have to make a lot of world-class saves. Like, it's not... Sorry?
Yeah, there was two very good ones, and he refused to acknowledge that, so that was the problem.
He made two really good saves, but what I think is more important, and this is something I thought when Ersin was in his it's almost weird to say in his prime, but when we won the league with him, I always felt like Ersin was a very reliable, serene, secure goalkeeper, very uncharacteristic for a Turkish goalkeeper. Because if you look at Mert and if you look at the great Turkish goalkeepers in history, like Rüştü, like Volkan, like what did they have? They always had these flashy saves. They could make really incredible flashy saves, but then they'd make such boneheaded boneheaded beginner mistakes. And I'm not going to say that Ersin never made those mistakes. The difference is Ersin was 18 years old or so when he made those types of mistakes. Volkan was 30 years old and was making stupid mistakes. Rushtu was...
Remember the butt save?
Yeah, or remember when he, against Schalke, he made a massive blunder in the Champions League once. Like, and that's in his prime. You know, and Ersin, for me, he is not a typical Turkish goalkeeper in the sense that from good Turkish goalkeepers you expect like incredible reflexes, but also the occasional brain fart. And for me, Ersin has always been a keeper that doesn't really make egregious mistakes, but yeah, okay, sometimes maybe he could do better, and he doesn't save a shot that perhaps Mert would save, or a chance that perhaps a top goalkeeper would save. I don't think Ersin is that level of a goalkeeper, but I think he's a very good and consistent goalkeeper when he isn't getting killed by his own fans. I think when he has good confidence, I think he could very well be Beşiktaş's goalkeeper if you put a good defense ahead of him and all that.
He's probably like between a 6 to a 7 out of 10 at absolutely everything apart from kicking.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know, his kicking was actually...
Yesterday,
I will say
good,
this. Yeah, Kartal, his kicking is at least a little bit more reliable than Mert's. I mean, let's not forget, Mert has given our opponents a few chances with those sort of weak kicks that kind of drop.
But that's also because I think Mert
midfield.
has really good kicking, I think, and he takes more risk, and that sometimes leads to those types of things. But they also lead to goals. For example, if you remember was it the 2-4 win in Kadıköy? I think he set up like 2 goals or something with his kicks. So
yeah, I remember that. But you know, yesterday actually, Ersin almost did the same. I don't know if you saw that. He set up Rafa on that run where he got saved.
Yeah.
Which was like a phenomenal kick that just dropped. I mean, there were some moments yesterday that like we could have actually ended up winning 3 or 4.
Yeah. I mean, like
it's just crazy.
And that's also one of those things I saw. There's this new account on Twitter. I don't know if you guys follow it. It's like a Turkish football account. It's like a new one. I like the guy. I don't know what his... I think his handle is like Turkish Footy or something. I like the account because the guy is pretty... I have not noticed any partisanship on his part. Like, he's always very fair to all the big teams. And anyway, I did notice he said that... I think it was him at least that said that our goal kind of came out of nowhere. But I don't agree with that because right before that we had the chance for Mucci, where Rafa went on a good run and he played it into Mucci. And I feel like we were sending out these warning signs already to Lyon. And we were definitely creating some counter opportunities already. And then we scored, and then we could have scored again because Rafa probably needs to do better on that attempt. But also, I was surprised he actually managed to get one-on-one with the goalkeeper because he had two defenders hot on his tail. And like I think the second, I don't remember if it was Tagliafico or who it was, but like I was surprised that they didn't catch him. I know he's really fast, but still, like they seem to be in a position where they should have been able to close him down or prevent him from shooting. And I kind of felt like Rafa felt the same thing, like they were gonna catch him. So he shot a little bit early, probably, or too quickly, or rushed the shot, and that's why the goalkeeper managed to save it. What were you gonna say? Sorry, Rafa?
He's just too fast for them, but I think another thing as well, like it's not a very easy technique when you're going at that speed to be able to shoot as well. Like that takes a skill. Obviously, Rafa has that skill. A great example was against, for example, Antalyaspor. That goal he scored.
Or Samsun.
Samsun and Antalya, to be honest, there was 2 goals that he took on runs. The one from Spain.
Lugano as well. The Trivela, I think it was, or was it also on full speed?
I think. Was it the lob? Sorry.
Oh yeah, the lob. Yeah. I thought it was Trivela for some reason. Yeah.
So he's scored a few goals like that, but at the same time, like it is still quite hard when you're running that fast to be able to take a good shot as well.
Yeah, people were critical of his finishing because of those things, but it's hard to be too critical of that because the reality is that nobody else even gets into those positions where they have a chance to finish, right? Like he does all of the work so it's like in a way it's not like a chance he's wasted. It's a chance that he's created out of thin air and then didn't quite finish.
Kerem Aktürkoğlu is very similar in that sense. Like he gets himself in a lot of goal scoring positions Burak in his prime was like that too. He got in so many scoring positions, but he missed a lot, so he gets a lot of criticism. But without those players and those particular skills, you don't get those chances. And by the way, I completely forgot, but like, you know, obviously there was the Rafa rush with the Mucci getting the ball and then not doing too well with it, and I was very frustrated at that point. But there's also the Immobile chance that the goalkeeper saves and pushes against the post, and then Rafa on the rebound can't put it in. Like those were
that was so
that's
close.
both at 0-0 right before we score. So I don't think you can say our goal came out of nowhere, because it was coming. It was.
Yeah, like they missed so much, but then it got to that point where we were starting to look dangerous on the transition. And then obviously we missed that double chance, and then the next time we caught them, we didn't forgive them.
What's that famous Turkish saying again, Kartal?
Yeah, atamıyorlar.
Exactly. If you don't score, you're gonna get it on the nose. The tiksel op de neus is what we call it in Belgium. Like you get the top of the pot, you know, like what do you call the lid, the lid on your nose. Yeah, you get the lid on your nose essentially. We want to let's quickly rapid fire, Sinan. Just go over the two lineups quickly. We already showed it a few times, but yeah.
So in goal, they have the 26-year-old Brazilian Lucas Perry, who, actually made a few saves.
He made a couple of good saves.
Earned his salary for the day. On their back line was 28-year-old Senegalese central defender Moussa Niakate, next to 31-year-old Angolan Clinton Mata. On their fullback positions, they had Argentinian 32-year-old Nicolas Taliafico, who's a name I think anyone would recognize who follows this sport. Opposite, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, 27-year-old Englishman. It's weird seeing the English leave their island these days. Midfield, Corentin Tolisso, a very recognizable 30-year-old Frenchman.
Also one of the guys who was there in 2017 when we played them in the Europa League. It's one of the two guys on the starting 11 that was there.
That's right. And then central midfielder Tanner Tessman, 23-year-old gringo, who played on the opposite side of Ryan Cherki, 21-year-old Frenchman, who is the future of football. No, I'm kidding, but he's obviously going to be a serious talent going forward. The right winger was Said Ben Rama, 29-year-old Algerian, who played opposite Ernest Nwama, a 20-year-old Ghanaian left winger.
Didn't notice him
and
much.
Of course,
Nwama.
He was
like
kind of quiet. I would say.
Felt like Ben Rama and Cherki were like and Tolisso, like they were like all over us. Like I said too, but like their left wing maybe a little bit less impactful.
For sure, yeah. And of course up top, a very recognizable name, Alexandre Lacazette, the 33-year-old Frenchman, former Arsenal, former Barcelona. No, wait. Where did he go? Where did he go in Spain? Didn't he go?
No, I think he just went to Arsenal and then came back to Lyon. I think you're thinking of Aubameyang. I think.
Yes, Aubameyang, exactly. But I thought Lacazette did a loan. Doesn't matter. Maybe. Anyway, to our side, where I think things get more interesting for us. In the goal, 23-year-old Ersin Destanoglu. The future is bright for this young man. Backline, Felix Uduokhai, our hero and savior. Opposite, Emirhan Topçu, who really grew into this match. Started out a little nervous, but I think he got the vibe shift from everyone else, and he was ready to play.
This was a great match for Emirhan, I think. A very good learning experience for him.
Yeah, yes. And just to see his side rise up to meet this challenge with him in it, for any of these young players, even Mucci, who I think we'd all agree was probably our worst player. But anyway, on the defensive flanks, we had Arthur Masuaku on the left side, opposite Jonas Svensson. Central of our midfield was Cher Ndour and Gedson Fernandes. Behind Rafa Silva, and on the wings, João Mario back as a right winger opposite Ernest Mucci who's on the left side with Ciro Immobile up top. And that's it. Any comments?
No, I think
Folks?
it's a great thing that we aren't left talking about Mert and what if Mert was fit. You know, I think it's great that we can say that we had a fantastic Ersin in goal, and hopefully he can replicate that on Monday. Well, hopefully he won't need to. He won't need to be this good on Monday, but let's hope he is. And that he doesn't re-aggravate his injury. I hope he didn't re-aggravated his injury last night, because I don't know if you remember, but like really early on, I think
like
after like his first or second save, he stayed down for a bit and had to receive some medical treatment. So I was already like, ooh, no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. So I really hope that he's gonna be fit for the Galatasaray game. And it looks like Mert's going to be out for a while, supposedly 3 to 4 weeks. So that means Ersin will have to play for a while. But, you know, I mean, look, if Ersin can play like this, like, you know...
We might have to have a conversation in a month.
Yeah, exactly. We might have. I definitely think Gio was definitely happy with his performance, I imagine. You boys want to have a look at the stats?
Sure, yeah. I was gonna say maybe we do the man of the match after. Yeah,
let's do it after.
this.
Let's do it after. In the meantime, actually, for those of you watching, let us know in the live chat who you thought was the best player on the pitch. Who was your man of the match? Only one pick. Don't cheat.
Yeah. Don't like.
We make it. We spice it up a wee bit. We all vote as well, and then whoever gets the most votes all together by the end of the episode is the Black Eagles man of the match.
Let's do that.
There you go. So we'll include your votes, folks. So if you really insist on naming more than one person, you can do like honorable mention, but make sure it's very clear who your pick is. I don't want to see just 3 names in a list. Like, that's not helpful. Anyway, stats. We had only 42% of the ball to their 58. Although that was an improvement after the first half. I think it was like 65% they had. So it was a better second half, no doubt. XG, they had 2.62 expected goals versus our 1.88, which on paper looks awfully tight. The one thing that does not look like it's competitive or tight was total shots. They had 30 to our 12. But then you look at the ones on target, and suddenly it looks like a pretty even match. I mean, not quite, but, you know. They had 9 on target to our 5. They had 4 big chances to our 3, which, you know, I mean, 4 missed to our 2. So they missed all of their big chances, whereas we one of ours did not miss. This was a bit of a surprise. We only had 318 passes at an 80% clip, which is, I think, a low for the Gio era. I mean, I don't know, maybe the Ajax match. I don't even that we've Men in Blacked ourselves for that one. 467 passes for Lyon at an 86% rate of completion. So, I mean, even though we didn't complete as many passes, we were still fairly efficient, which is a good sign. You know, we weren't just like dominated the way, you know, we've handled some Anadolu sides with those passing numbers. 11 fouls committed by us to their 7. They were offsides 5 times to our once. They had 8 corners to our 0. I wouldn't be surprised if the vast majority of those were in the first half. Cartel, you want to do the duels?
Yep. So for the duels, we've got 38%. Sorry, they won 38 duels. We won 54. So we actually won 59% of the duels. Ground duels, we won 41. They won 33. So we won 55%. Aerial duels, we won 13, they won 5, so we won 72%. So I think, see the duel stats, a lot of the time you find that the team that's doing more defending is actually the team that wins a lot of the duels. And that rings true for this, because we did do a lot of the defending. And our attacks were in the transition. And it was a transition style of offence. We played like fast direct to the goal, and that's where we were really dangerous. So, and obviously we've already said that like we done a lot of defending, they missed a lot of chances. So I think the fact that we won a lot of the duels, I think that's quite expected, but it just shows that our defenders and some of our midfielders as well just like fought very well. Like Uduokhai, Mirhan, Gedson Fernandes, Sharon Doorman, like these guys, they all play good games.
Yeah.
Srati, very good when he came on. So I think that just kind of backs it up as well. The fact that we were so dominant in the duels, successful dribbles. We had 64% successful dribbles, so that works out. We had 14. So if 64% of them were successful, you're probably talking about 23, 24 dribbles probably altogether, and 14 of them were successful. They had 48% was success with their dribbles, which was 10. So obviously, 48%, you're probably talking about like they had like 21 dribble attempts the whole game. So for yellow cards, they had 2, we had 6. There was a point in time the referee was going a bit mental, just throwing out yellow cards.
For people just like voicing complaints and stuff. Yeah, he got a little wild with it. He must have been influenced by fascist France and their anti-fan authoritarianism.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. He was definitely. I agree. He was definitely kind of going overboard a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right after we took the lead, it felt like he kind of like he felt, oh shit, I have to kind of police this now because like they're winning.
Yeah, whoops.
I don't know, but like it felt a little shitty. And I mean, like, let's be honest, like if it wasn't for VAR, we lose this game. You know, I think realistically.
But I will say, at least I think his strategy was make quick decisions and rely on VAR to fix them. And there was never, him resisting going to VAR.
No, but I think referees, in Europe, I don't think they're inclined to do that, especially if they're not like really high profile or something. Like I don't think they have the balls to do that, honestly.
To get too
I think
focused on gerrymandering.
I think if they do that, like that's the last game they officiate in a UEFA competition. So I think how long has it been since we've seen a referee refuse to acknowledge a VAR call? Like I feel like that happened a little bit like early on during VAR, but it's been a very long time since I've actually seen a ref daring to do that.
I thought the referee had a bad game, man. Like on field, this should have been a lot easier. Like that, the first goal, for example, the solid goal from them was clearly offside. First time I seen it, I said that's offside. Like the penalty, straight away you could tell that's no penalty. It seems like maybe the referee did definitely have a bias towards Lyon, but obviously, thankfully for VAR, they kind of corrected him in his missteps. Sadly,
what about that Emirhan quote-unquote handball that they ended up not calling?
I think that's fine. You can check that as long as they checked it and then they said it wasn't a handball.
Yeah, it was fine. Against. His arm was on his body, right? So like.
Yeah, and he said no. He gave no penalty, so it was actually.
Yeah.
He made the right call off the bat there, which was good.
Yeah. And it's fine. They can check that and be sure, and they came to the right decision, so not a problem at all.
Yeah. You boys, let's see. Kata, let's start with you. Who do you think was the best man on the pitch? Who deserves the man of the match award?
It's actually very hard, man.
It is, yeah.
It
is.
I just want to go through a list, maybe make a case for a few people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uduokhai, absolute beast. All game, man, he was blocking shots. In the end he blocked that off the line, winning duels, doing everything, man. I thought, even in the first half, I was saying to us, Jan, as well, watching the game, I said, Uduokhai's been brilliant today. Gedson Fernandes scored a goal, brilliant finish. The guy's cerebral in front of goal now. Like, who would have thought last year would be saying that Gedson Fernandes is cerebral in front of goal, get ice in his veins, as some would say. But he was phenomenal, man. He was running, doing what he always does, running a lot. Rafa Silva, for me, like Rafa Silva obviously got the assist in the goal and he got in a couple of chances, and I think he'd normally be an honourable mention, but I'm going to take him out of the race. The reason being is I think he had a lot of kind of wayward passes and build up. Although he was critical in key moments, I think he had a bit too many passing mistakes today, so it's not going to be him. So I'm between Uduokhai, Gedson, and Ersin obviously, who had 8 saves, 2 great saves. But I think my vote goes for Gedson Fernandes.
Ooh. I'm keeping a tally over here on paper too. So. Should our votes get 2 points if everyone else is 1? Are we gonna?
Bro, we're not superior, man. We can't do that. Can't do that. Of yours are equals.
When you phrased it like that, now I feel terrible.
We're all the best fans, man. We've just obviously got a platform here, but we're all equals, man. All we are is Beşiktaş fans. We aren't special people. So everyone's vote should count as 1.
Boy, you're really laying it on, Cartel. And now you're making me feel even worse about it. All right. Just 1 point.
Actually, I spoke too long, man. You lost track.
Yeah. King Felix of the Uduokhai. Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to. I mean, the honorable mentions are absolutely, I think, spot on from Cartel. You've got to say it's one of these 3. Ersin who stepped up against all odds and had a fantastic match in Europe. You've got King Felix of the Uduokhai.
Khan, you've muted yourself.
Khan, you muted yourself. King Felix of the Uduokhai. But I think maybe previously or something.
Oh, okay.
He was our leader on the pitch, emotionally, as far as like what he was actually doing with, what he needed to. So yeah, he's an easy choice, and of course Gedson, who scores the huge goal, and it was just generally like, again, initially you wondered if he was bringing his A game, but then as the game progressed, it was obvious he was gonna, be fighting for all of the balls as he does, and just fully, willing us to this 3 points, or at least to a point had they scored in the end. But either way, yeah, it was obvious he was back on top of his game by the end of this one. I'm giving it to Felix. I'm giving it to King Felix of the Uduokhai. So that's my vote.
All right. Oh, I think it's such a tough one, man. Like, I don't even know who I should pick, honestly. I think because it's almost wrong. I almost want to give it to Ersin because of how he's been mistreated. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does.
But I think overall, for some reason, I'm trying to get an Ersin image up here, and it's not. It's refusing to
cooperate.
Yeah, it's refusing to.
That's okay. They can imagine there's a photo of Ersin there. It's okay.
No, that's not work.
We can't just stay here for like all night.
No. I'm trying to get a proper picture of Ersin up here. No, for me, you know what? I actually think. God damn it, it's not working. Oh well. I have to give it to Felix, man. Like, I thought he was just so good. I think Ersin is a close second, but for me, Felix was the best. Yeah, I think Felix Uduokhai for me was number 1. But I am gonna get an image of Ersin up here, man. I can't not have an image of Ersin. I have to.
It'll be like
Felix Uduokhai was so good that So first of all, we should probably remind everyone that tomorrow is when Cartel Uvasa drops the famous red jersey from our historic victory against Konyaspor. No, I'm kidding. But that jersey is coming out tomorrow on Cartel Uvasa's website, including the EU one. And Felix was so good that I'm contemplating getting him on the back of that red one.
You know what?
Just want to put that. Want to put that on the
record. Actually, if you want to get the red one from Felix, you might want to check out matchwornshirts.com because they're still up from the Konya game. So for maybe like 200 euros.
Bro, you get a match
You can get the
worn.
match
Ooh.
worn one. So I mean, I think if you're paying 110 plus shipping for a shirt anyway, like why not add 80 euros or 90 euros on top and just get the match worn one, man?
No, it's a fine sentiment, but I actually still need to get 2 more proselytizing youth jerseys, sadly. So there's a multiple.
Who do you keep getting all these youth jerseys for, man?
Dude, it's getting insane. And all of her friends are like, I want one. So like, yeah.
They're gonna bankrupt you, these girls.
I know, these kids.
You can say that there's the link. Tell your mum and dad to buy one.
Exactly.
Give me 110 euros or like $120 and I'll get you one. Yeah.
No, but honestly, the prospect of like 7 kids walking around New York City in Beşiktaş shirts for me is prize enough. I'll take it. I'll pay for that.
If Sinan was a Catholic mission, he'd be promoted to saint status by this point.
I know, seriously. Saint Sinan. It has a nice ring to it, man. I don't know.
Saint Sinan of Beşiktaş.
All right, I've got a good Ersin image this time. Let's get that one. Did you guys? I mean, I don't know if we pointed this out already earlier in the season, but Ersin changed back to jersey number 30, by the way, which was the jersey.
Denver's roots.
Which was the jersey number he wore when we won the league. So yeah, maybe
that's what I was gonna say. That reminds me.
Maybe that's helping him.
Maybe that's the key.
That is the key.
No, I was gonna say, Kartal, by the way, as far as the Bülent Uslu thing goes, I think it's even worse that he, not apologizing is one thing, but it's even worse basically taking credit for his success and being like, oh, it's because he's like reacting to my criticism. Like that's somehow even worse than just not apologizing, you know? But then on top of it, to say a guy like Ersin is not a Turkish Super League quality goalkeeper, having already won a title in the Super League, is just...
Yeah, man.
I don't want to insult this guy because, in this day and age you can get sued for doing that, but...
You don't need to insult someone for having a wrong opinion.
That's moronic, though, is it not? I mean, is that suable to say someone's being moronic?
I don't think so.
I mean, he's entitled to his opinion, of course, and I do agree with Özcan, with Kartal, sorry, that I got Özcan on my mind now, man. That he does a lot of good for the community, obviously, and for the club, and he represents the club in many ways. But I think sometimes maybe he forgets a little bit of how influential he can be, and I think he needs to, I don't get what you achieve by trying, killing your second goalkeeper. Yeah. Especially when your first goalkeeper is Mert, who tends to get some injuries from time to time. I
get maybe in the summer, man, if you can make the case. I'm not saying it's right, but you could say, they might force the club into action to sell him and sign someone else. But in that, I'm not saying I disagree with that as well. But then you could maybe make a case for it at the least.
Yeah. All right. Comments. Do we have any picks? Does anyone want to interject here with their pick of man of the match? I don't know. I didn't quite follow.
So did Sinan vote?
Sinan voted for Felix. I voted for Felix, and you voted for Gedson. So we need a couple of Ersins here, guys. Come on.
So if we could look through the comments then, or should we wait till the end of the episode to?
I've been writing them down.
You're writing them down. Okay. What?
We should give people a little more time, I think.
Yeah.
People vote. Vote for man of the match. I just put one out in our group chat, in the other group chat. But yeah, I will do comments from previously. We could do some of the older comments and work our way.
Let's do that.
To this.
Yeah.
So we started with the Finnish kebab, a classic listener. In my opinion, yesterday's win was the biggest win in Europe since that legendary Champions League season in 17-18. And frankly, it's hard to disagree because I can't really remember too many good victories since then.
No, yeah.
You guys have anything to say about that?
Yeah, no, I said last night that it was our biggest result in 7 years, so I fully agree with that. Yeah.
What big have we had any? Have we had any good results?
I don't know.
Especially away from home.
We've not had any notable European wins.
We had a 1-1 draw against Genk, I remember that, and a 1-1 draw against Brugge. So Those were decent.
The Zanutinov game winner against Dynamo
That's
Kiev.
true.
I'm kidding.
That's actually true, man. That was a big.
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
That was a big win. I mean, I felt like at the time, but like, you know, this is another thing. Maybe I should bring these up. The standings in the Europa League, because I do have an image of that.
Oh yeah, we started at the bottom. Now we're here. While you do that, I'll read some comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Muzaffer gave us a couple eagles, and then said Türkçe yayın yapın. I don't know what that means, but
that means he wants us to broadcast in Turkish.
I would have guessed. That. Emre Hasturk, a good man, and a better fan. That didn't even rhyme on purpose, but there we go. He says, next time we face them, no more Lacazette, please.
Well, the chances of that are not small because, like I said, he's already 33 years old, so there's chances that he might not return.
Make it for the next one.
He might not come back for another one.
Which, that'd be fine. I mean, it's not like I personally don't want to see freaking Ryan Cherki ever again, personally, but.
I would love to see him again in a Beşiktaş shirt.
Yo, I see what you're saying. Right? Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd take that.
I mean, he really strikes me as a player that would take very well to Turkey and to Turkish football, and our fans would really gravitate towards him. I think so. I actually think that he could be. Maybe in a couple of years, you know, if his career doesn't pan out and he's kind of like, you know, like his career is already like.
He could be the next Gazelle.
He could be, you know, like maybe if he has like a stopover in the Premier League and it doesn't go quite the way that he had hoped.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you hate to be like an ambulance chaser, but I'll chase that ambulance for a while.
That's the destiny of Turkish. I mean, we would have to be quick though, because I mean he's 22, 23 years old, so. We'd have to sign him before he's 24 because I don't think he's unless he plays for Algeria 75% of the time. I've got the standings up there as well. By the way, we can have a look at those.
Hopefully that rule changes sooner rather than later.
I mean,
anyway,
maybe.
Let me do some more of these comments, I guess, before we fully move on. We have Sally. Oh, that's the the Jalen Green joke. I'm not even gonna repeat that. I don't want to piss off everyone. Grey Wolf, they started great, but ever since they have been disconnected, they need to stop with the back passes. Go forward. Every time they go backwards, it costs them. I'm not sure who we're talking about. Is this about Beşiktaş? They started great, but ever since they have been disconnected. Does he mean like we started the season great? I can't or if he means like Lyon in the game yesterday, because I think maybe we were talking about Lyon at the time when he wrote this. Grey Wolf, if you want to weigh in and tell us what you meant by that. He says they don't have control of the ball and they don't have the killer instinct to close out games. Lyon had so many better chances. We seem to not have many shots on goal in games. Comments, gentlemen?
I think that's harsh. That's one game. That's a small sample size. I don't watch Lyon enough, but I mean, judging by the fact that they're coming off of a 5-game win streak. I think that's probably a little bit unfair.
Well, and in the end, when you looked at the shots on target, it was actually like not even that bad. I mean, we ended up with like 12 shots and 5 on target, so I think
they definitely had an off day in front of goal, but I think it's.
Yeah, well, they had.
I mean,
yeah.
they did,
well, no, in that first half, I think we came into this match with the same sort of negativity that we've had in Europe for a couple of years. But I think it was just as we progressed through it, we kind of realized. We don't have to do that anymore. I mean, hopefully.
And
we'll see,
don't forget, like, you know, the match before this, they went and smashed Glasgow Rangers 1-4 in Ibrox.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of teams can do that. I'll say that. Not teams can say they came to Ibrox and smashed Rangers.
Yeah.
You probably kept it on 2 hands, to be honest.
That's embarrassing for them. But anyway.
But I just want to make a comment about Grey Wolves. What Grey Wolf said. Well, actually, Grey Wolf in the last game against Frankfurt, we were the team that had the most XG in the full Europa League group.
Out of any team in the Europa League. Yeah.
On that match day, so to say that we don't have a lot of shots, it's not like our opinion that it's wrong. To be honest, it's factually correct, man. I mean, I don't want to be that guy that's kind of saying, "Oh, you're wrong," but it's factually incorrect. We literally were the team that had the most XG any team in the league phase on the last match day.
We had 12.
Yeah.
We had 12 shots,
5 on target,
in an away game in Europe, and 5 on target, and 3 big chances created. Like that's not a bad day at the office, I think.
The problem is allowing them to take 30, but that was sort of resolved throughout the course of the match. We found our footing.
Yeah, that's a different issue, but I definitely don't think we have a lack of shots. And even I think if you can create 3 big chances in a European away game against a tough opponent, it's not like we were playing against Rigas or something. Like we've played 3 really good sides. Like we played a team that won the Europa League 2 years ago. We played Ajax, who have 5 Champions Leagues in their trophy cabinet. Now we played Lyon, who are a mainstay in European football. So
now
these are all champion, maybe not Frankfurt, but Lyon and Ajax are Champions League regulars.
I will say this one thing in Grey Wolf's defense, which is that I think there have been times against weaker opposition where you feel like we could be taking more shots and that we're not clinical enough and that we're sort of trying to get a little too fancy, passing it into the net type of thing. But even still, the end result isn't that we don't have a lot of shots, and we typically still have enough that we should be potentially scoring more. I mean, I don't know. I'm of two minds on that. I guess I understand the feeling that we could be more clinical at times or more aggressive at times, but for the most part, and certainly I think when you look at yesterday's match in particular against Lyon, I don't think that's a valid criticism. And just generally speaking,
do you mean
what's our XG over this course of the season?
I don't know.
I bet it's not bad.
I think we have one of the highest, or if not the highest, XG in the league. So
I would expect.
I saw a stat of that last week, I think, and Oh no! Didn't you go over the stats?
Wasn't it the Giovanni? That was Cartel. I think.
Yeah, weren't we the highest expected goals, or was it not included in that stat list? I don't even remember.
May have been, man. So let's find out.
Continue with the comments as Cartel finds out.
Yeah, but I think
I can actually find out. Probably can find out on FOTMOB what is the highest XG in the league, though. Let me check. Keep talking in the meantime, though.
Yeah. So anyway, we had Grey Wolf. They don't have. Lyon had somebody better. Okay. Then Ozkan Zerzavaci, who is also a recognizable name. I think
one of our Patreons.
Yeah, but also I think I recognize him from Twitter.
He's
been
also
following
in
each other.
In our community as well, in our group.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, he goes, I go Beşiktaş. Woo, better than Fenerhu and Galatasaray. I like Shata. I like that. The past tense. Because I would have tried to fit shit in there and it wouldn't have. That was clever.
XG on that list, but what I can say is that we are the team out of the top 10 leagues that have the most direct attacks per game.
There you go.
But I can check the XG there. Maybe we'll be able to find that on FOTMOB, as Can said. So I'll see where we are in terms of that.
I'm looking on FOTMOB right now if I can find expected goals. We are the second highest in the league. Galatasaray are on 18.2 and we are on 16.8 expected.
So second best in the league is nothing to scoff at, especially considering Galatasaray's had a pretty easy fixture list.
Pretty easy fixture list, and they have Osimhen and Icardi.
Yeah, and 2 of the best strikers the Super League's ever seen. Yeah. But so to finish up Ozkan's comment, he said Jose is already talking life after Fener in the press conference. LOL, dude. Jose Mourinho's press conference yesterday was absolutely hilarious. I don't know. Let's not focus on them anyway. But just worth revisiting for anyone who hasn't seen it. Grey Wolf then follows up the previous comments with, I could be incorrect, but it seems they're far spread apart from each other and not enough players up front when they break out.
Lyon or us?
I think that must be regarding us, but we were quite effective on the counter yesterday.
That is a fair criticism to an extent, because we obviously don't really have a lot of I think throughout the season, I think if that's a general comment, then I think that's fair because we lack true wingers. I think so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
feel like Simi when he's on the pitch, like he's waiting for the ball too much, and Rasička is also somebody who I think I don't know, like maybe yeah.
He's active, but I know what you mean. Yeah, he's maybe just lacks
Yeah.
that quality for it to be that useful. Anyway, we have Jason. Yasin, good to see you guys. I can't be here tonight. I want to express my delight for this amazing result and how great the team was. We were lucky, but we had fight, grit, and determination. And if we win the upcoming game, we can start something great. Yeah, I think that sort of piggybacks on a point we had made. I'm going to add this last comment by Yiche as a vote for Ersin. He didn't even know he was doing it, but he said his name. We said, write their names, not the vote. I'm just joking. But if you do want to change that, Yiche, anybody who is watching, please write in the comments who your man of the match is, because we're going to tally it up and then do like a listener/host vote to see who the official entry is. And at the moment we have a tie, so yeah, please vote.
And it's not man of the match, it's the Black Eagles podcast man of the match.
That's right.
So it's
a huge honor, guys. So you're going to be
Uduokhai, man, they'll be watching this live at home saying, man, I want to be the Black Eagles podcast man of the match.
Exactly.
So,
you're robbing them of this opportunity if you don't vote.
Yeah.
This high honor, if you will, especially for the king of Uduokhai. Yeah, and the rest of the comments are basically about the voting stuff until we get, which I'll save those for later. I mean, one funny thing is White Mana, so he voted for Ersin, and then he goes honorable mention God. Which the first half I think makes sense. Then we have Grey Wolf. He says the English referees in the Premier League have been heavily criticized for horrible calls, not just in the Turkish league. So that must have been in relation to something we were talking about.
Was this in English? I thought it was a German ref, but I don't.
Yeah, maybe we were being critical of Turkish refs or something. Maybe that's what that was in comment towards.
So let's look at the referee right there. I'll get it. Just clear that up.
Yeah. And so White Mana also said in defending his vote for Ersin, he says, don't forget the fact that Ersin played with an injury, which is definitely worth remembering. Yigiche says, do you remember when I told you that Ersin is better than Mert?
Yes,
I
remember
that.
You even read it out loud, Sinan. He said it last episode.
I did. I mean, I read them all out loud. I should probably remember that. But I like it. I like what you're saying. Again, I probably said the same thing last time because I'm an Ersin guy. But so then he follows that up with Ersin knows where to take position when saving the shots. Oh, Ersin knows where to take position when saving the shots. Knows where to position himself. And so this is why he saves shots effortlessly. He's also better in clearing behind the defensive line than Mert. Mert doesn't leave the box. Thoughts, fellas?
It's true, I think, yeah. Ersin.
I think. On you go, Kat, sorry.
No, I just think that's. I don't have a lot of recollection of Mert rushing out of goal a lot, and Ersin does do that more often.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also think that Ersin's very good at crosses as well.
He's on high balls.
Control in the air is just.
He rarely drops a ball.
Elite.
Not that Mert is weak at that either. I think that's.
No,
like Uğurcan, for example, I think that's one of his major flaws is that he's really bad on high balls, and generally, I think Turkish goalkeepers struggle a lot on crosses and high balls. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to confirm the referee was German.
Yeah.
Osmos is his name.
Okay.
Say it again, Carter. How do you pronounce that?
No idea. I'm just going.
Was it Hans? What did you say?
No, Harm. Harm.
Harm. Harm. Okay. Harm. Yeah. And what was his last name?
Osmers. Osmers.
Osmers. Harm Osmers. His name is actually Harm, like
harm
to harm someone. That could have been the butt of a joke had he harmed us in any real way, but he tried. He tried to harm us.
Yeah. If there's no VAR, they would have harmed us very badly.
Very true. No,
Exactly.
would have almost been like not as egregious as Mr. Thompson, but close. All right,
But so yeah, I mean that's about it. Should we
let's
do our tally?
we'll tally in a second. If you want to get your vote in on the Black Eagles man of the match, do it now. Let's have a quick look at these tables here, guys. As you can see, we've got the league stage table of the Europa League up here. We're now off of the 0. There's still 3 teams at the bottom there who have 0 points. One of them is Karabakh, our neighbors from Azerbaijan. The other is Dynamo Kiev, who, I think it's understandable that Ukrainian clubs are struggling a little bit right now. So they're still bottom, but I mean, that's not where you're expecting to see a team like Dynamo Kiev. And then one of them, interestingly, is also Maccabi Tel Aviv, our opponent, not the next game, but the game after. As you can see as well, we are currently in 27th place, so we are underneath the cutoff line, which is 24, so you need to end in the top 24 to advance to the next round of the Europa League, which will be the knockout stages. If you end between 9th place and 24th place, you have to play an extra knockout round. If you manage to end in the top 8, you actually get to skip a knockout round, so that means less fixture congestion. But right now, Beşiktaş are on level points with a bunch of teams. As you can see, like everyone up until place, let me check a look here. Up until Victoria Pilsen are on 3 points, so that includes Manchester United, Elfsborg, Ferencváros, AZ, Alkmaar, Malmö, Braga, and I think we are the bottom team with 3 points right now. Our next match is on, I believe, the 4th of November, if I'm not mistaken, against Malmö on a Wednesday at 16:30 Central European time. However, the clocks are being changed on the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be 18:30 local time, so 6:30 in the evening in Turkey. So hopefully we'll get a decent turnout for that match. We will play a team that are currently also on 3 points and just underneath that cutoff line in 25th place, Malmö. So a very important must-win match. And then after we play Malmö, we have the game against Maccabi Tel Aviv. So we have back-to-back home games in the Europa League coming up. So those are crucial if we want to advance to the next stage of the Europa League. We will have to get, honestly, 6 points against Malmö and against Maccabi Tel Aviv. I will be interviewing a Swedish journalist next week on Malmö, who are currently top of the Allsvenska, and I think the season's over there, so that means they're the champions. That said, their form in Europe isn't great, as you can see, with 3 points, but yeah.
They're just barely ahead of us.
Just barely ahead of us on goal differential, so a very important game. So let's get to that, the Black Eagles man of the match then, Sinan. You tallied the counts, so the votes. So who is number 1?
So we're counting Yigice as an Ersin vote, right?
Yeah, let's count that as an Ersin vote.
So we have a 3-way tie. 2 votes for King Felix, 2 votes for Gedson, and 2 votes for Ersin. So there is no clear-cut winner here. Everybody
wins.
Been given praise. You get a
you know what
You get a
You know what we'll do then? We'll go to FOTMOP and we'll see who they had as the winner.
Oh, we're
gonna use FOTMOP as the tiebreaker, but I already know who that's gonna be because I checked it yesterday. So, spoiler alert, it's going to be Gedson Fernandes, which I think is a little unfair because I feel like if you score a goal, you get more points.
You get the points automatically.
Yeah. I don't know what a defender could do more in a game like yesterday, other than give an assist or a goal. I mean, I think he was flawless. I think Felix was flawless.
I think it's the hardest for a central defender to get points in that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
and I mean, even Ersin with an 8.6 is like, dang.
Yeah. So the scores for Ersin is 8.6. That's really good for a goalkeeper, obviously. Emirhan, well, not going to talk about that, but 8.3 for Felix Uduokhai, and Gedson gets a 9. 8.9, sorry, an 8.9.
8.9, yeah.
So, Gedson Fernandes is your Black Eagles man of the match.
Definitely makes Gedson the winner with his vote.
There we go. So, it is a no contest then. It is Gedson. We don't even need it, the tiebreaker. Gedson Fernandes is your Black Eagles man of the match. I think that'll do it for our episode for today. Sinan, thank you very much for joining me. Kathal, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for watching. Go ahead, Kathal. What's up?
Before you wrap it up, man, I wanted to say something about, can we bring the table back up?
Of course.
Or something I need to say. I mean, because we never really spoke about this. This has been a big talking point and amongst the Beşiktaş community on social media and other streams. You guys not think that this win has given us a really good chance of actually breaking into that top 24? And if 100%. we do what is, we should beat Malmö, we should beat Tel Aviv.
Oh, you want the table back? You want the table back up?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to, man.
I'll bring it back up. It's no big deal. So Gedson is your man of the match. Boom. And there's the table again.
So I think with this win here, I think we should definitely beat Tel Aviv, and we should definitely beat Malmö. So I think if we win those two matches, and if we either beat one of 20 or Bodo, and those games, Bodo especially, is going to be hard. I mean, if you look at Bodo, they're actually 9th just now.
Bodo are in tremendous form.
If you beat 20 or Bodo, and I think even if you get maybe 2 draws from those games, but I think we'll beat 20.
I think if you beat Malmö and Maccabi, then you have 9 points. Then you're almost
probably already through.
You're almost guaranteed a top 24 finish. And if you then get like a point away at Twente, maybe a point against Athletic Club, or maybe a point against Bodo, I think if you have 10 points, then you're safe. So
I have to say, I forgot who it was. Someone did this sort of research because they were doing like on FM, where they simulated a ton of these tournaments in this format, and it was 9 points, which is the marker. 9 points was basically guaranteeing you.
I think
an opportunity.
It was absolutely pivotal, and I was actually securing that place, at least in the playoff knockout round, not the round of 6. So I just wanted to talk about that because I think it's important, and we never spoke about it.
It's a little early. It's a little early days, but this win against Lyon, which is unexpected, certainly gives us that breathing space, that bonus almost of the 3 points that you didn't quite expect to get from a really difficult away game. You also need to keep in mind we had our schedule was very front loaded. I think with 3 I mean, look, we have 5 really difficult opponents. I feel like in the Europa League with also Bodo Glimt away and Athletic Club. I really think Bodo away is a super tough match. So, I think we have 5 really difficult. We had a bad draw in the sense that I think we had really strong oppositions. I mean, I would have much rather drawn Man United than some of these teams we're playing. I much rather would have played Manchester United at home than Lyon away or Frankfurt at home, honestly. Because Man United right now, I think there's a lot more to gain from that game. Because if you lose to Manchester United, nobody bats an eyelash. But if you beat Manchester United, despite the fact, like we were talking about this earlier, when Galatasaray beat Manchester United last season, despite the fact that Man United are in shambles, still it's Manchester United, and if you beat them, it's massive. So Fenerbahce got a point yesterday against United, but I think that I think if Fener was really good this season, they would have beaten them.
And do you want me to say something else as well?
No, Kartal,
sure.
Yeah, no, I don't want you to say anything.
I think this is a great point. Our teams, not just Beşiktaş, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, even Başakşehir. See Man United, man. Like they're a bit of a team where, especially normal format, you'd get 2 games. The Turkish team would normally beat you in one of the games. So that's why even Man U when they're good, man, I wouldn't mind playing.
But that's because
United a favourable.
Yeah, but that's because United under Sir Alex Ferguson always had this tendency to line up a B/C squad when they were already qualified to for the fixture congestion. So.
Post Alex Ferguson, Dick Advocaat beat Mourinho's Man U in the Europa League.
Yeah.
And then also
in the group
remember Solskjaer's Man U Başakşehir beat 2-0. Sorry, it was in Istanbul.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think even Man U, even off form, on form, I think I'd even make it more widespread. I think Turkish teams tend to do quite well against English teams in general.
Maybe in particular against United, so.
Especially in the 21st century. I mean, I can think about like Leeds was bad, Wolves was bad, but like we played like kids in the second game. But look, in 04 we beat Chelsea away. 09 we beat Man U away, albeit against a sub team. I understand
Tottenham, Liverpool.
And Fenerbahce had a really good beat Man U in one of the games, I think, in the mid 2000s.
They also got beat 6-2 in Old Trafford though, but.
And then just like we beat Liverpool 2-1, but we don't even.
Well, we narrowly lost the game at Anfield. That's true.
Yeah, and then we should have probably knocked out Arsenal in the Champions League qualifiers. We beat Tottenham. We knocked out Liverpool that year as well. We got the best of Stoke City in a couple of Europa League games. So I think overall Turkish teams actually have a very good record against English teams in the 21st century.
You also always, if you watch podcasts or interviews with former English players that played in those matches, almost all the time when they get asked a question like what was the most intimidating atmosphere you ever played in, they almost always mention either Beşiktaş or Galatasaray. Almost always.
Yeah.
So for those English players, it definitely does seem to have an effect. I think on certain players, like Italians, for example, I don't think they care much. Like they're pretty ruthless. They don't get impressed that easily by atmospheres. I think maybe Germans the same because they're used to, a pretty. I mean, their crowds aren't rowdy, but they have great atmospheres as well. But we got a couple of more comments who snuck in there, by the way, including one that I don't necessarily recognize with.
So KRT, Cartel 11. With what face do you guys celebrate the victory earned by players who you all picked on so long for not being enough quality? Huh? I feel like we're pretty positive about our team, typically.
Yeah.
Is that just like a comment for
maybe
the generally negative fan base?
General, but Cartel, if you watch this podcast frequently, you'll know that Uduokhai, every single member of this podcast has been very high on since it came. Gedson Fernandes.
I'm a serial optimist. I don't think I criticize anyone except for Onur, to be honest. I definitely.
I've always said that he's a good player, but I thought that he wasn't the right player for the type of football we wanted to play. I've came back and said I was wrong, and under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, he's added an extra layer to the game now where he's cerebral.
I mean, I've scolded you and other people who criticized Gedson over the past 2 years repeatedly.
Yeah, and then
I have Gedson's jersey. I mean, I have most of our team's jersey at this point. So yeah, I'm not the hater.
Maybe he's referring to Bülent Uslu or something. That's possible.
Yeah. Maybe it's just his English isn't very good, and he's
like generally like for folks out there who are negative. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen like we're all quite. I mean, to be honest, I've kind of verged towards being a mad fan, but I'll say it every time. I think our fan base is one of the biggest reasons for the downfall of Ersin, and hopefully tomorrow is last night was the catalyst. I'm going back to the heights he was at before and better than he ever was before.
I think if he has a good performance on Monday, that there will be a massive swing, I think, and then the next home game against Kasımpaşa, I think we'll see some nice gestures, hopefully from the fans for Ersin. But like, I mean, I think Sinan and I both have been advocating for years now that Ersin should be our number one. Even like, you know, when do you remember when I think when it was when Channel came in and Channel put Mert in goal instead of Ersin, we heavily criticized that decision.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, honestly, you know what? I think it was the right decision from Channel at the time, because Mert has been good for us, and I don't really agree with Yid that Ersin is better than Mert at the moment.
No, neither that.
Because but Ersin's 23 years old and Mert's 35. So like Ersin still has a whole career ahead of him, whereas Mert is
we may have like stalled his development.
We definitely did.
Defense.
I think one of the big things with Ersin is that he makes the saves he needs to make for the most part, and he's very reliable. And I think that's something that Yid also pointed out. However, I think Mert has bigger saves in him. He has match-changing saves in him that Ersin just hasn't shown us enough. But again, you know, Ersin, he won the league at 19. He's still only 23 years old. That is so young for a goalkeeper. I feel like if Ersin can continue to develop with a good goalkeeping coach, like he can become a really, really, really solid goalkeeper. I think he probably should have left Beşiktaş a while ago. And he has definitely halted his development by playing as little as he has. But I'm a big fan of Ersin. That doesn't mean because I think right now Mert is better that I don't rate Ersin. I think Ersin is a way above average Super League goalkeeper. He's only 23, and with the right guidance, the right coaching, he could become a really good, solid goalkeeper.
Yeah. Yikiche says Beşiktaş can win any games left. It's realistic to expect us to get. Oh man, I gotta check the comment. It got cut off there. I think he said 11 or 12 points. What did he say? 12 to 15.
Yeah, because
12 to
it's
15
behind our little logo.
Yeah, little logo. 12 to 15 is maybe optimistic, but I'll take
that
it.
I think that's optimistic, but of course, you know, like if you know, it all depends. Like you have to, like European football. How many times have we said it? Like details decide European matches very often. I think details were very important yesterday. You know, the offside. You know, that penalty decision getting recalled. Them not having their best shooting boots on, and then we being, you know, we were not super ruthless, but we definitely punished them. And you know, that's football. Like the Frankfurt game was kind of the other way around, where we were the ones knocking on the door, and they kind of scored out of very limited goal-scoring opportunities. And that's European football. You're contending with teams with so much quality. The differences between teams are so small, except for when you play. Like, you know, if you look at, you know, I don't want to keep dogging on Galatasaray, but if you look at their first 3 matches, they played PAOK, they played Rigas, and they played Elfsborg. Like, you cannot compare that to Ajax, Frankfurt, and Lyon. You can't compare that. That's like Champions, you know, borderline Champions League and Conference League. Like, Galatasaray legitimately got a super favorable draw. Their next match now is Tottenham, which is obviously a higher level of opponent. But, like, you know, their first 3 matches were against teams that they probably should have gotten 9 points against, and they finished with 7. The 7 is still really good, of course, but, you know, we got 3 points now from 3 really difficult matches. I don't think we can complain too much about that, and now we have a quote-unquote easier schedule, but you can't completely dismiss a team like Malmö, Bodo Glimt especially. And Athletic Club is a fantastic side with some fantastic players. You know, one of the best players of the past Euros plays for them with Nico Williams. We also still have Twente, who made it really difficult for Fenerbahce 2 weeks ago. And, you know, Maccabi Tel Aviv, probably one of the weaker sides in the league, in the Europa League. But you still have to win that match. You know, they're there for a reason as well. So, but let's be optimistic. I think we have a very good chance with this Lyon win. I definitely think we have a great chance of advancing to the next round.
Yeah, I would say 10 or 12, maybe. Atil John says, Ersin could go through, a huge career revival, which is crazy to say, knowing he's only 23. Yeah, and we've already kind of covered that. Yigiche says Cheeto is the most valuable center forward. I think he's very versatile and mobile on the pitch. I think his game is one of the main reasons of Gedson's performance.
He was
soaring.
really good yesterday as well. I think that people don't give him enough credit when he doesn't score, because there were numerous moments where he came and got the ball, and he really gave us some rare moments of peace in the match when Lyon were full on pressing us. He was also in the build up for the goal. Yeah, I mean, he was very involved, very secure on the ball. He also got a decent FOTMOP rating, if I'm not mistaken. And as a striker, getting like a 7.5, which I think it is, he got. Let me just check. He had a FOTMOP rating of 7.4. As a striker, when you don't score, that's not a bad score, I think.
Yeah, no, he's one of those guys who's always doing something positive for the most part.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but his passing game is really quite good. Like, he's a really good passer, and he's fast, man. He's 34 years old, but every time he gets that ball on the wing, like, he's pretty fast still.
He is.
I think the best example of his pace was against Lugano. Remember that we went running for that last goal?
Yeah, he has that little burst of speed that he can do, and he has like a fake or something like that. Like he's really explosive in the first couple of meters. So yeah, he definitely he's 34 years old, but I think he still has a couple of good years left in him if he stays fit like he is right now. Maybe in a couple of years we're playing with a 38-year-old Ciro Immobile like Fenner with Chico.
There you go. Final comment. Yigiche says Ersin has 6 clean sheets in the last 10 games. He's in the first 11. This statistic needed to be explained. He does something well which we could not figure out yet. Yeah. Look, I don't think anyone's anti-Ersin.
No.
I don't think that's
we've generally
a point of contention.
Yeah, we've conceded the least goals in the league, so I mean, you could probably say the same for Mert in terms of clean sheets. I don't always think clean sheets are a good metric for a goalkeeper's performance, because I think you have to look at shots faced, also the quality of the shots they faced. So I think it's it's of course it's important for defenders and for goalkeepers to have clean sheets. But if you'll remember last season when Santos came in, there was a period of 4 or 5 matches where we had the best defense in the league, and then I think after that we got spanked a couple of times, and then he got fired. So yeah, those can be moments in time. It does look like we, other than obviously the Ajax and the Frankfurt game, we've had. Overall, we also conceded 3 goals against Lugano, but overall we've had a very solid defensive performance so far this season, and that includes the defenders who've been performing well, but also the goalkeepers. I think Ersin against Frankfurt, when he did play, there was very little to fault him. Maybe the 3rd goal, maybe he could have done more there, because I think he makes a mistake on the 3rd goal. I'm not saying he saves it, because it was a really good shot, but I said it at the time, Felix was closing down one corner really well. So Ersin as a goalkeeper has to know that the shot's going to go in the opposite corner, and he didn't dive. So yeah, I think that's being very nitpicky though from my part. So
yeah. Great. Let's call this thing an episode. That's it. Sorry, Gitch, I'm cutting off your guys' conversation. Taking too long.
No, I'm kidding on.
Oh God! Shut up, Cartel! You gotta go. All right. Look, everyone, we have a huge match this coming week. I don't have to explain that much. We're playing Galatasaray. For anyone who doesn't know, it's been moved to Monday, the 28th, October 28th, 1 p.m. here in New York, which means 9 p.m. in Turkey.
It's at 6 Central European time, I think. No. Has it been moved? Let me.
It's 1 p.m. here.
It's 6.
6.
It's 5 on.
Yeah. Okay. But what? It's the 28th. It's on the 28th. So the clocks will have changed. I think the clocks change on Sunday. So so in Turkey, I think that's 8 o'clock. I think.
Yeah, right.
So just stay on your toes. Check your local listings, especially with daylight savings. You never really know. But so, Con, definitely let's give a shout out to our subscribers before we, and maybe a little reminder before I do my little goodbye.
Yeah, go check out our Patreon page if you want to support the podcast. Of course, you are already supporting us if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you subscribe to our Spotify or Apple Podcast feeds, all of that, whether you're listening on audio or you're watching on YouTube, we very much appreciate it. Please drop a comment in the comment section on YouTube. Give us a like. That really is super important. Please always try to like our videos, unless of course you don't like it for some reason. But why would you be watching if you don't? So please leave us a like, leave us a comment, join us in the live chat whenever if you are able to join us live. We usually announce our broadcasting times the day before a live feed, but generally we are always live on Monday and on Friday. However, of course, next week with the game being on a Monday, we might actually be live on Tuesday, which is my birthday. I don't know if I'll be able to make that work.
Whoops.
But either...
I could go live after the game, man. I'm up for that if you guys are.
That can work because it's actually vacation, so there's no school. So actually, let's...
Oh, there you go.
We actually, that's a good idea, Cartel. But hopefully then... Hopefully with a good result that we can be buzzing. That would be really great. So
yeah, exactly.
Actually, so we'll probably be live on Monday after the game then. But other than that, if you want to support us in an additional way, you can always subscribe to our Patreon channel on patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast. If you subscribe there for just $2, $1.99 a month, you get access to our VIP podcast audio feed. You get early access to a bunch of our videos, like for example these interviews we do for the European matches with expert guests. Those get recorded and instantly right afterwards I put them up on Patreon, so you get early access. And other videos that we create will also be available on there early on. But it's mainly just to support us, to keep us going and help us do what we're doing. And you can do so by supporting us with just $1.99 a month by going to our Patreon page. And right after, when we are in the... when we're going into the outro music in a second, after Sinan takes us out, you will actually be able to see some of all our patrons, our current patrons actually. And Sinan, I actually cut your microphone off last week. You were reading their names out. I'm not gonna do that this time. So you can actually read out their names out loud as a special thank you to them. So a big shout out to those people for supporting us. And you can also support us by joining us on Patreon. The links are in the comments section, or in the show notes actually. The link to our Patreon is also in the show notes. So all you have to do is click that link, join as a Patreon member. You can actually join as a free Patreon member as well for 7 days. Then you can still access all our premium content for 7 days for free. And afterwards you can always decide whether you want to stay on or not. But I implore you to check it out and join us on Patreon. It really helps.
And with that said, and I rarely is this more appropriate than it is today, after a huge victory in Europe and with a huge derby upcoming. What a time to be alive for all of us. And with that said, let's go Beşiktaş! Peace out, everybody! Roll the honor list, will you, God? Özkan, Zerzabati, Keith Gregory, and of course, the Dutch Eagle. Thank you all very much for your support. We will keep producing the highest quality content that we can. Have a good evening, folks, and of course,